the Ellen situation.
Yeah.
You know, people found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a bitch. And everybody, oh,
Yeah.
I can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was. My buddy Greg, who was one of her writers, was like, she's a piece of shit. And he was like, she's a monster.
All these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice...
Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly are teaming up to expose Ellen DeGeneres like you've never seen before. What skeletons is Ellen hiding behind that smile? Is it just killer dance moves or something way juicier? Spoiler alert, it's messy, awkward, and absolutely hilarious. If you thought daytime TV was boring, think again, stick around, because this tea is piping hot and spilling everywhere.
It's like a beautiful name, Isis.
Ellen's rough. That's
Ellen
a rough
is like
one.
an old...
But it's a rough one now.
It's a rough one now because she was running Abu Ghraib in the back of her show.
It led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person.
You know that moment when someone is so beloved, so squeaky clean, so relentlessly nice that you start to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there's a bit more going on behind the scenes. Enter Ellen DeGeneres, daytime TV's crown princess of kindness, the queen of Bane speeches, the dancing, smiling, lovable celeb who made nice her brand, but then boom, out of the blue, two totally different but equally fearless media beasts decide to poke that shiny facade with the stick. Not one but two, Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly.
You see, like, a lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be right? You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they have like...
Yeah, you heard that right. Joe Rogan, the podcast king known for grilling everyone from fighters to conspiracy theorists, and Megyn Kelly, the journalist who's made it her business to slice through PR fluff like a hot knife through butter, both took it upon themselves to put Ellen's kindness to the test, and spoiler alert, things got messy, awkward, and absolutely hilarious.
I have a question for you on this. This is perfect for you. Because I'm seeing this week that there is an attempted comeback by somebody who did not cross one of those fateful lines of the misstepping on their sacred cows of gender or race or sexuality.
Yeah.
But she was said to be a nasty biatch, and that's Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
So her show got canceled after she had this testy exchange with Dakota Johnson, where something happened where Dakota said, oh, I had this birthday party, and Ellen said, well, why didn't you invite me? You didn't invite me. And she said, like, no, I did invite you, Ellen. That's not what happened. And Ellen had blown her off and then tried to play the victim on the set with her. Anyway, it led to article after article of people being like, Ellen's a bitch. Ellen is a nasty person. And
let's start with Joe Rogan now. Rogan's platform is like a giant cultural microscope where nothing escapes his attention, not even the seemingly untouchable baned poster child. Picture Rogan in his usual non-nonsense style looking at Ellen and thinking, wait, how does this nice gal image square with all these whispers about what happens backstage? He's got a radar for when celebrity PR stories don't quite add up.
all these staffers started to come out, not for nothing, but I know a guy, I know him very well, whose sister worked for her, who said, you were not allowed to make eye contact with Ellen in the halls of that show. If you saw her, this is not a nice person. So she eventually got canceled, but now she's coming back. She's got a Netflix special. That's the right response.
Yeah.
She's got a Netflix special. And here's the capper. On the promo, and apparently there's now articles out about from people who have seen the preview, she plays the victim.
Joe's angle wasn't some petty celebrity gossip. No, this was full-on cultural archaeology. He dug into the dirt people whispered about in Hollywood hallway stuff about a workplace that was less fun and loving and more tense and toxic. You know, the kind of environment where people put on a happy face because, well, your job depends on it. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, it was apparently a different kind of show entirely. Imagine that the same woman who made us all want to dance along to Happy suddenly being the boss who made the work environment feel anything but Joe didn't pull punches, painting a picture of a juxtaposition so sharp it made you wheeze. The kind message on TV one thing, the alleged behind-the-scenes cold shoulder something else entirely. It was like watching a Hallmark movie with a horror twist, except you don't get to turn it off. But Rogan's focus wasn't just on Ellen alone, he took it further, holding up Ellen as an example of a bigger cultural phenomenon, the kind of celebrity who packages kindness like merchandise, slaps it on a brand, and expects us all to buy into the fairy tale. Without question, it's the brand kindness problem, where the public message and private reality are worlds apart, and Joe wasn't shy about calling out this trend, because let's face it, when your kindness feels like a product, it's no wonder some people get burned in the process.
They made progress with the strike.
They're picketing right now, so I think it's the early stages. I would think it might take a little bit with this one.
When someone crosses the writer strike, that's some dirty shit. They cross the picket line.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody doing that yet.
I think Ellen did. I had a buddy of mine who was writing on Ellen. Everybody kind of knows now what she's really all about. And that's another one of those. It's like, I'm so nice and I'm so sweet. Being behind the...
Now you might think that's enough to ruffle some feathers, but that's only half the story. Enter Megyn Kelly, who came at Ellen from a totally different angle, but just as brutally effective. While Rogan was busy deconstructing the cultural mythos, Kelly was putting on her investigative journalist hat and going straight for the corporate jugular. Kelly's approach was like a high-powered magnifying glass focused on Ellen's empire, not just the smiling TV host, but the whole business machine behind the scenes. You know, the lawsuits, the employee complaints, the alleged harsh working conditions, all the stuff that tends to get glossed over in glossy magazines and feel-good interviews. She didn't waste time with niceties. Instead, Kelly methodically traced the lines between Ellen's public be kind mantra and the corporate reality. It turns out that the smiling host of a daytime talk show might not have been running a daycare, but a pressure cooker, where the demands of production ratings and deadlines left employees juggling more than just scripts, and the alleged dismissiveness towards staff concerns. Let's just say it wasn't exactly kindness on full display.
Just for me, and she actually has the nerve to say that she was run out of Hollywood. This person
with $100 million in her pocket.
$450 million, according to Forbes. That's a low estimate.
Yeah.
Because so now she's out there saying, I was run out of Hollywood. She's actually reportedly complaining about how hard it is for women in America with the double standards.
Look at Oprah, how hard it is for her.
Oh, she's got, like 10 houses, Ellen DeGeneres?
Michelle Obama, look how hard it is for women in America. They're hurting.
They're going to let her back in, Rob, because she's a lesbian, she's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred.
Kelly's critique also targeted the media itself, how the press often tiptoed around Ellen's controversies, protecting the brand rather than challenging it, but she didn't play that game. Instead, Kelly brought those contradictions front and center, turning the spotlight away from the stage smiles and toward the messy human reality. It was less about scandal and more about peeling back the layers of celebrity branding to reveal what lies beneath. Put Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly together, and what do you get? A 1-2 punch that's part cultural commentary, part investigative journalism, and all parts entertaining. Rogan's raw, skeptical breakdown set the stage by challenging the narrative, while Kelly's fact-driven deep dive exposed the corporate underbelly of the Ellen brand. Neither of them wanted a fight or a face-to-face showdown. No, this was all about storytelling, analysis, and a few, aimed jabs that left Ellen's image looking a little less pristine. But why does this matter? Because it's about more than just one celebrity's image taking a hit. It's a reflection of how we consume celebrity culture, how we swallow glossy narratives without question, and how sometimes the truth, messy, complicated, and yes, sometimes hilarious, needs to come out. It's a reminder that behind every Bain slogan might be a different story entirely.
Look at it.
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? It's a similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
Just look at the temple, and then look at the...
Let me see Ellen's background.
And don't get it twisted, this isn't some mean-spirited witch hunt. It's more like pulling back the curtain on a carefully constructed magic show. The sparkle is real, but the smoke and mirrors also real. Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly's combined efforts are like that friend who tells you the brutally honest truth when you're about to make a questionable life decision. It stings, it surprises you, and maybe it makes you laugh a little. So what does this mean for Ellen's legacy? Well, the baned crown might have A few dents now, and her daytime kingdom just got a little less fairy tale and a little more reality TV drama. Fans might start looking at those dance moves and sweet smiles with a bit more skepticism, and maybe, just maybe, other celebrities will start sweating under the microscope, knowing that kindness as a brand isn't an automatic get-out-of-criticism-free card anymore. And here's the kicker: neither Rogan nor Kelly needed a showdown with Ellen herself to land these blows. No face-to-face confrontation, no petty Twitter battles, no desperate attempts at damage control, just sharp observations, deep dives, and a willingness to call out what they saw. That's how you expose someone these days, not with drama, but with facts and fearless commentary.
She's a leftist, and she didn't hit one of their sacred cows. Nastiness, that's their bread and butter.
Well, I think everyone... I mean, I will say, like, the resentment, I think everyone should have a chance for reconciliation. I don't think Jesus exempted anybody. And so I do, while it does, because I have been allowed back in, but I don't hold any grievance and resentment. It's very important. And I would just say for Ellen, the resentment, you have to know, you have to get over resentment to whatever addiction or addictive qualities happen to get.
So here's the real kicker about this whole Joe Rogan and Megyn Kelly double whammy exposing Ellen DeGeneres. It's not just about the tea being spilled on one celebrity. Nah, it's bigger than that. When these two heavy hitters from totally different media universes team up, whether intentionally or not, they crack open the usual echo chamber where celebrity stories either get warped or swept under the rug. Think about it: Joe Rogan, the guy who built a podcast empire by letting conspiracy theorists, fighters, and random geniuses rant for hours, stands on the counterculture front line. Meanwhile, Megyn Kelly, the polished, buttoned-up journalist who's no stranger to cutting through political spin and PR facades, flexes her mainstream media muscle with precision. It's like throwing a rock into a perfectly still pond, and instead of ripples, you get a tsunami. Joe brings the skeptical, let's not buy the marketing vibe that's long been a staple of his audience. You know, the crowd that loves peeling back layers of culture and calling out the BS wherever it hides, even if it's buried beneath a choreographed dance and a heartwarming Bain slogan. Megyn, on the other hand, uses her journalist's toolkit to sift through lawsuits, memos, and employee grievances, translating them into a clear picture of what's really cooking behind Ellen's trademark grin.
Bush are jumping around. I mean,
that's right. She was buddies with Bush. That
yeah,
was like
she's
one of the
a
first
CIA agent. Stephen Paddock. And do not ask me for sources, but Stephen Paddock.
Who's that?
He was the guy that shot up the Vegas concert. That was a very tragic thing. Listen to this. The only guy that saw Stephen Paddock alive, his name is Jesus Campos. He was a guard at Mandalay Bay. He got interviewed nowhere else. You know where he got interviewed in the beginning?
Ellen. Really?
Weird. And then they went on, if you could find that clip, they went on with a weird, like, diagram of how it happened, and Ellen's, like, showing the people how it happened. Not like an emotional, like, how are you feeling, how are you holding up? It was a weird diagram of, like, and then he went to the left and to the right. It was very strange to, look, what the hell's going on? This is a daytime.
Together, their voices create this powerful feedback loop that shakes the foundations of celebrity worship. And why does this matter? Because the public isn't just sitting back sipping popcorn anymore. Thanks to Rogan and Kelly, there's this huge wave of renewed curiosity and skepticism. People are starting to ask, how much of what we see is just PR smoke and mirrors? How authentic is the kindness we're sold by the entertainment industry's biggest players? Suddenly, the idea of celebrities as flawless, saintly icons is looking a little outdated, a little naive. This isn't just Ellen's problem, it's a whole cultural shift. Fans want the real deal, warts and all, and they're hungry for stories that go beyond the shiny surface. This new scrutiny cracks open the whole celebrity culture bubble, exposing that chasm between the polished public image and the messy private reality, and it's fascinating, 'cause it forces us to rethink how we consume entertainment and idolize personalities. When a Be Kind motto turns out to be a brand strategy instead of a lived philosophy, it feels less like inspiration and more like a well-crafted sales pitch. People aren't just laughing or gasping at the drama, they're reflecting on what authenticity really means in a world dominated by social media filters and PR campaigns. What's even better, none of this unfolded with Ellen storming off stage or launching Twitter wars. There were no dramatic face-to-face confrontations, no shouting matches on live TV. This exposure came through sharp analysis, storytelling, and a good dose of skepticism, the kind that actually makes you think rather than just want to click away. It's a refreshing break from the usual celebrity feuds that get recycled endlessly.
It should tell you something.
Yeah.
Like, that's an odd look with all those buttons. Like, why do you have so many wrist buttons?
It was given to her in Langley.
The only reason why you have that many wrist buttons if you're looking to clothesline somebody.
Yeah, look at her. Look at her. Everyone says she looks so friendly. She looks friendly.
She does look very military.
Yeah, she's a militant woman.
with a very expensive watch.
She
too.
dealt with a lot of discrimination when she came out. It was very sad, but then she joined the CIA.
Her house got broken into while she was at home.
Really?
Yeah. She got a dope place in Montecito.
And they broke in while she was there.
Yeah.
And those people are still being tortured to this day.
Probably.
They're still in an underground jail.
Instead, Rogan and Kelly showed that you can expose contradictions, question narratives, and hold figures accountable without the messiness of petty public spats. This made the whole conversation feel more serious and thought-provoking, even as it stayed entertaining. Looking ahead, this shift could have some pretty wild ripple effects. Fans who once blindly followed Ellen's every move might start questioning other celebrities with similar spotless images. The spotlight might start swinging toward the complex realities behind other polished brands, making it harder for any Bane act to fly under the radar without scrutiny. In fact, this could usher in a new era of celebrity culture where authenticity isn't just a buzzword but a demanded standard. Maybe that's why Ellen's nice empire suddenly looks a bit shaky, because audiences are tired of kindness as a costume and want genuine humanity instead. So yeah, the combined impact of Joe Rogan's counterculture clout and Megyn Kelly's journalistic rigor isn't just about dragging Ellen through the mud. It's a cultural reset button, a wake-up call to all of us who've been happily swallowing celebrity PR whole. It's about demanding better stories, real people behind the personas, and a little less polished perfection on our screens. And honestly, that's way more satisfying than any reality TV drama.
I'm
To
just
admit
like,
your
of
mistakes.
all people on earth to be feeling sorry for herself, Ellen DeGeneres should not be on the list.
She should at least, but make a real apology and do it in
There's no apology. It's just woe is me. I was run out of Hollywood as she speaks from this grandiose stage on Netflix. Hello, you haven't been canceled if you are doing a Netflix special. She got $20 million for the one before this. I'm sure she